Welcome to week 5 of Pantry Challenge. My name's Taylor and this is the Birds and Bees Homestead, and for the month of January I've been participating in a pantry challenge where I don't go to the grocery store for the entire month so that I can use up what I already have in my house. And it is the last official week of January. I do have a stretch goal of making it until Valentine's Day, so I'm feeling pretty good about how we're making out. I still have lots of groceries that I should be able to feed my household for the next 2 weeks with some delicious meals. So it is 10 o'clock. I am going to be on my way out the door pretty soon for a doggy birthday party. We have had a lot of birthday parties the last few days. If you've seen last week's video, yesterday we were at a friend's house for his birthday, and the day before that we were at Jeff's family's house for his niece and nephew and mother's birthday. So I haven't had to cook the last couple of days. Yesterday I did do some prep for dinner this week, so I need to do the next step for that this morning before I head out the door. But I wanted to show you a couple things. Yesterday at my friend's birthday, he received this gift from his sister. He got this exact mushroom kit, and it reminded me that I have this mushroom kit sitting around and I really need to start on it. So I told him, when you start yours, text me, we'll start them at the same time. So we need to put it in the fridge for 24 hours. So we both put ours in the fridge last night. I'm just gonna put it back. So probably tonight I'll take that out of the fridge and figure out what the next step is. But that's exciting. We're on a mushroom journey together, growing mushrooms in our house. Yesterday I also prepped a big batch of chocolate banana smoothie. I'm not sick of bananas yet, surprisingly. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we had a banana crisis a couple weeks ago, and I landed myself with an absurd amount of bananas. So that's the next update that I wanted to show you. Over here, I have packed up some bananas that I'm going to gift to my friends that were here helping me chop and process them all at my banana processing party. So I've got some dehydrated banana, freeze-dried banana, that's for my sister. And then in these 2 bags, I also included some freeze-dried banana peels because this friend has some indoor plants that she can use that for fertilizer, and then this friend will have a garden in the springtime, so I gave her a bit of a bigger bag so she can use those for her indoor plants and for her garden. Over here, I'm excited to have dealt with all of the banana peels. I don't have any more to process. I've got an entire container here, Folgers container, of banana peels, and then these ones I sealed up a bit better because I think it's gonna take me a while to get through that. And then I had an awkward amount left, so what I did was just fill this with water. So this will be like a banana water that I will just water my indoor plants later today with. I have all kinds of dehydrated banana here and here. This one I did not store very well. I just left this in a bowl on my counter. So I don't think that these will have a very long shelf life. So I have this in a separate jar so I know to use these first. The dogs have been loving these, so I think these might just end up being dog treats. And then over here, I did store these a bit better, so they should have a longer shelf life. So I'll use these as snacks, or if I have friends that might want them, but these might also end up being dog treats just because they love them so much. I did make up a gift for this dog's birthday. So I've got freeze-dried dog treats. In here, I've got some freeze-dried pumpkin, some mystery meat. It's either deer or duck. I just kind of threw them all in together. And then I've got a whole bunch of freeze-dried pumpkins. Let me show you. All the dogs that I've shared these with have been enjoying them so far. So that is for the birthday girl. And then a friend of mine just adopted a new dog that I'm going to meet today for the first time, so I wanted to bring her some doggy treats as well. And then yesterday I did get started on prepping dinner. We're gonna try tofu curry because I have tofu that needs to be used up, and so I left that out to defrost, and now I want to get it marinating. So I'm gonna do that. I only have 20 minutes before I need to leave. And I also fed my sourdough starter yesterday, hoping that it would be ready to bake today, but it's not quite active and bubbly enough, so I need to give it another feed. So I'm running out of time. I need to get going on that. I got my sourdough starter fed, so I think I'm gonna stick this back in the oven with the light on because it'll just be warmer in there, and hopefully that'll help activate my starter and it'll rise and hopefully double in size by tonight, and I can get started on a loaf of bread. And then I just pulled out, I prepared a marinade for the tofu, and then this is going to be the sauce. I do need to add some tomato paste, which was defrosting. I will leave a link to these recipes in my description box. I'm actually following 2. I used a tiki masala recipe for the marinade, and I'm using a butter chicken recipe for the sauce. This is very thick. I wasn't expecting this. Okay, so here's our sauce. I'll get that back in the fridge. But but I'm going to just mix up the marinade before I add the tofu. Okay, so I've never dealt with tofu before. The recipe said to freeze it and then defrost it and then squeeze it. I can see that there's a lot of liquid in there. I'm just gonna try to strain some off before I squeeze it. I also don't know if there is any nutritional value in this liquid. I'll probably look that up later, but for now, I'm gonna save it in case there is. I do not like to waste anything if it can serve a purpose. So maybe this is nutritious and I can feed it to the chickens or add it to their water, or maybe I can fertilize plants with it, who knows. If there's no good use for it, I'll just throw it away. But it's not any extra work right now for me to save this. So it said just to squeeze it between 2 plates. So now I'm going to cut it into bite-sized pieces. What an interesting texture. I think it'll be easier to mix this up to make sure that it's well coated in this bowl, and then I will put it back in the container to marinate in the fridge. I just really want to make sure everything is well coated because from what I've heard, the tofu will just take on whatever flavor you're cooking it in or with, and this marinade sounds and smells delicious. So I want to make sure that the tofu is well coated so it takes on that flavor. Okay, I'm just gonna put this in the fridge with my sauce. I did drop a piece on the floor and I quickly grabbed it because I didn't know if it was safe for dogs, but I just Googled it and it is. You wanna try this, Charlie? Oh, it looks like she likes it. There you go, good girl. Gotta get the dogs packed up. I got a little wiener dog and it's freezing outside, so I gotta get her a jacket. So I had a lot of fun at the doggy birthday party. We went for a beach walk and it was really nice to catch up with my friends. Let the dogs get some exercise, run around, get some fresh air. I actually have 2 people coming over for dinner, which is a little risky to serve them a recipe that I've never tried before, let alone a protein that I've never eaten before, let alone cooked before. But I think it'll be fine. The sauce and marinade both smell really good. So what I've got going on right now is a pot of water that I'm going to cook some rice in. Gonna melt some butter to grill up some onions, and then I will add my sauce, which I was thinking was looking really thick and not very saucy. And then I remembered that I did not use the recommended amount of coconut milk because I didn't have enough. And I remembered that I've made butter chicken before, and I believe that I have used Greek yogurt in a butter chicken recipe. I wish I thought of this sooner because I would have added the Greek yogurt right to this dish to sit with all the seasonings, but I think I'm just gonna supplement this with some Greek yogurt. This is a vegan recipe, so I suspect that is why it called for coconut milk instead of Greek yogurt. So I think that should be just fine. Obviously, I am the worst recipe follower because this is already a combination of 2 recipes and I'm not following either of them. One of the recipes said to cook the tofu in the oven. The recipe that called for marinating the tofu actually said to put these on skewers, but I couldn't be bothered. So I just dumped them in the sheet pan and I will cook them in the oven. And then once that's done cooking in the oven, I'm just gonna throw it right in the sauce and we can just scoop that out onto our rice. I'm grateful for my prior self's efforts in prepping all of this because it's gonna be really easy to throw together because all the work is pretty much done for me. I just need to cook it. Okay, I've got the tofu in the oven, and this is just some jasmine rice. Got the onions in here, caramelizing. I just put them in some butter and salt. The recipe called for vegan butter, but we are not a vegan household, so we put regular butter. I did end up deciding to add some Greek yogurt to this, and this is looking so much better. And I want to show you, I grabbed a bottle of wine from the fridge downstairs. I ended up doing another wine kit. I did order and pay for this pre-pantry challenge, so it's basically free, #girlmath, but we're gonna enjoy this with dinner tonight. And we like getting these broccoli from Costco. You can steam it in the microwave actually, and it turns out perfect every time. So we'll have that on the side. I wish I had some naan bread or some kind of homemade bread to go with this. Unfortunately, my sourdough starter is not revived yet. I'll probably have to do another feeding. This dinner ended up turning out really well. It was a hit with my guests, and I think it was a really great way to use up this tofu. The sauce was delicious. I did find the tofu to be a bit spicy. I think that the marinade called for cayenne pepper, so I might leave that out next time if I ever made this recipe again. So today's Monday. I woke up early this morning to try to tackle a few chores because I have a long list of things I want to get done today. And I ended up just snuggling the dogs on the couch with a cup of coffee. Didn't get as much done this morning as I wanted to, so I'm on my lunch hour and I need to go grab something out of the freezer to make for dinner tonight. I need to bottle up my kombucha. I need to go collect chicken eggs. I pulled out my chili from the freeze dryer last night and I did not get it packed up. So I need to do that. And I was really hoping to have started a loaf of sourdough by now, but I can't get my starter to reactivate enough for it to double in size. So I do need to feed this hopefully just once more and then it'll be ready to bake. So that's a long list of things to do. I only have an hour, probably not gonna get them all done, but I'm gonna prioritize at least getting my starter fed and I'm gonna go grab something out of the freezer for dinner tonight. We are slowly working our way through all of the meat in this deep freezer. I'm just gonna pull some of this meat out for dinner tonight. And then we still have a whole chicken that we need to eat. And Jeff purchased this from a coworker who raised his own meat kings. Now Jeff is not participating in Pantry Challenge, so I sent him to the store to pick up fruit for the freeze dryer one day, and he picked up these crispy chicken burgers, which I'm really excited to give them a try post Pantry Challenge. So we were thinking of pulling out that whole chicken for dinner this week. That's a 7-pound bird. That is a large chicken for just Jeff and I. And my favorite YouTuber, Becky from Homestead, that's what I was watching this morning, snuggling the dogs. She does so many dinner parties where she cooks all day, she makes these elaborate meals, has friends over, and it just made me really want to do that. I've done it a couple times, and so I thought that that chicken would be really nice to enjoy with more people because it's so big for just the two of us. So instead of having that this week, I think we'll have people over this weekend. So for now, I just took out mystery meat. Jeff probably knows what this is. I think 2 of these, there's like 3 pieces of meat here. I think there is a pheasant and 2 partridge, and I don't know what is what, but I just pulled it all out and I don't know what we're gonna make with it, but Jeff hunted these this year and I'm thinking he might have a plan of what he wants to do with these. And I'm thinking that we really need to eat up the rest of the garden potatoes because I'm worried they're gonna go bad. I've got 2 different kinds here. I think these might be the fingerlings and this is just regular white or yellow potatoes. So I think what I'll do is try to get these scrubbed up. They're really dirty because I didn't really clean them when I harvested them because they have a longer shelf life if you leave the dirt on them. So I'm probably gonna try to scrub those now so that when it comes time to make dinner after work tonight, it'll be much easier and quicker to throw together. Okay, I just got these fed again. I'm hoping that this will finally revive these, but I've been wishing we had homemade bread in the house. I've been putting off baking because I was hoping to try to tackle a loaf of sourdough, but that's gonna take a while, so I might try to make it my goal to have a loaf of sourdough with dinner when we have a dinner party on the weekend. So for now, I'm gonna throw together this quick and easy white crusty bread. I made this once before already during Pantry Challenge and we ate this up so fast. So I'll have time to pull this together right now so that I can bake it tonight with our partridge and or pheasant and potatoes. This is what the dough is looking like. Nothing fancy, pretty shaggy. I love using this, this is a Danish dough whisk. I love using it to mix my bread dough. I think Jeff got it for me as a gift from Amazon. So I will leave an Amazon link in my description in case you're interested. But I'm just gonna put a damp towel on this and leave this in the oven with the light on to try to speed up the rising process. I prefer making this the night before and letting it rise overnight. But we're gonna try to speed up the process so we can have it for dinner tonight. Let's see what the girls got for me today. They have been coming up pretty short on rent. Hello. Yeah, looks like we've only got 4. I've only been getting 4 or 5. And I was getting 8 or 9. But I know it's normal for them to slow down in the winter. Hi, chickies. Oh. And there's another one. Girls, why are you laying eggs in your food? Hello. Excuse me. Excuse me. I think I have been pretty lucky actually that my chickens have been laying pretty well throughout the winter. I think most people experience their chickens slowing down or not laying at all. So I'm pretty happy that I'm still getting 4 or 5 eggs a day, which is plenty for us. I think I'm actually gonna cook up 2 of those eggs for my lunch. I'm really hungry, and I'll probably just make that with a couple of pieces of toast. I'm almost through the 3 partial loaves of bread that we took from my parents when they left to go south for the winter. So I'm just gonna have a couple pieces of toast, 2 eggs, and before I do that, I'm running out of time. I'll get my chores done. I took out my kombucha. I'm not going to have time to bottle that right now, but I'll do that after work today. Before I make my lunch, I am going to try to package up this chili. I made up this small serving because I figured I'd be too impatient to wait until we actually go camping. I think these freeze-dried meals that are pre-portioned and all you have to do is add some hot water right to the bag is going to be so handy for us because we do so much off-grid camping and hiking, and it's something that is lightweight, not going to take up a lot of space, and we're not going to have to worry about keeping it refrigerated. So I'm really excited to have these on hand. Got the chili packed up. I have a heat sealer that will actually seal these Mylar bags, and I have an oxygen absorber in here, so that should extend the shelf life. I think they can stay good for up to 25 years, but we will probably eat these in the next few months. So I gave my potatoes a good rinse, and these are so dirty. I don't know if this is a thing, but in my mind, I think that it would make sense if I soak them a little bit in water so that the dirt loosens up and it will be easier for me to scrub the dirt off of them. That's just me justifying not wanting to scrub them right now. Just gonna cook up my lunch, and I'm just gonna fry those eggs in this bacon grease. I love cooking with bacon grease, but I think I've actually been cooking with it so much more during Pantry Challenge. I think in the back of my mind, I've been worried that I'm gonna run out of butter. So I've been opting for bacon grease instead. And I think I'm going to be in a better habit of using this over butter for just frying things in a pan, and I'll be using my butter more for baking. So I like that I've made that shift during this Pantry Challenge. That was a unexpected learning. I just gave my eggs a rinse because they were a bit dirty. And this is all that I have left of the bread that my parents weren't able to eat through before they left for the winter. And I have 2 pieces in the toaster, and it looks like I've got 2 more pieces. I'll probably just feed the butt ends of this to the chickens. They will enjoy that more than I will. And then after this, we should have some homemade bread. And then after that, hopefully I can figure out sourdough. I'm just gonna enjoy these eggs with my toast and some of my last batch of kombucha that I made. I don't know what I did differently this time that this didn't turn out very carbonated at all. I've only made kombucha 2 or 3 times now. It still tastes very good. So what I've been doing is adding about half a glass of this not very carbonated kombucha and just plain carbonated water that I made in my soda stream. And I'm hoping that my next batch turns out better. This is very new to me, so I'm still learning. If anybody has any tips, please let me know. I even thought about carbonating this in the soda stream, but I really don't want to accidentally explode kombucha all over my house. So we're just gonna add the carbonated water right to it. Okay, I'm gonna enjoy this while I get back to work. It's now 6:30 and I'm just now getting back to trying to finish up that long list of chores that I had at lunch. It has been freezing lately, and when Jeff got home from work, both of us were just ready to relax and get in the hot tub. So we spent some time relaxing, but now it's time to get dinner pulled together. So I have my Dutch oven preheating for my bread. I did get my bread shaped. I scrubbed my garden potatoes, and there's actually a lot here, like more than I realized. This is gonna be way more than we need for dinner tonight. But you can see how small these are. I think these are the fingerlings, and I expected them to be the small potatoes, but most of them turned out bigger than my yellow or white potato. So I'm going to just get these into a pot of boiling water. And I think I'm just gonna partially boil them so they're not all the way cooked. And for dinner tonight, we've made this dish before where we smash them and fry them in oil or drizzle them with oil and bake them in the oven so they get really crispy. I don't know if we're gonna do that with all the potatoes. I might take those boiled potatoes and stick them in a freezer Ziploc bag, because then I'll have a really quick and easy side dish to pull them out, and then at that point we can decide whatever we want to do with those potatoes. And I didn't bother peeling them just because they're so freaking small. Okay, so I've got this filled up with water. I'm gonna add some salt now before I forget. And it looks like the meat is fully defrosted. Still don't know how we're going to be cooking this, but I think Jeff is looking up a recipe now. Should probably cook a vegetable with this. Got 2 carbs and some meat, so I'll see what we want to have on the side. I've yet to address this again. Yes, I'm an adult wearing a onesie. If you're wondering, I got this in the children's section, specifically the boys section. I did not get to bottling up my kombucha. I don't think I'm gonna get to it tonight because I'm tired, and I think it can wait a day. I've got my kombucha bottles that I need are still in the fridge with my last batch of kombucha that didn't really turn out. So I didn't drink through it fast enough for the bottles to be ready for this batch. So I'm trying to decide what I'm gonna do. So that'll be a project for tomorrow. Did get the chili all packed up and ready for the pantry. Got this nice seal on it so it stays good for a long period of time. And I also have this chicken noodle soup that we had left over from last week. The sourdough starter's starting to look a bit better. This one looks like it doubled in size, so I think we're ready to bake with this. I don't need a loaf of sourdough now because I just put a loaf of bread in the oven, but I think I should be able to keep this active and bubbly and happy to be able to make a loaf of sourdough for a dinner party this weekend. Now I'm just gonna open a bottle of wine because Jeff is prepping the meat for dinner tonight and we're going to make a white wine sauce to go with it. I have upgraded from the onesie to my Oodie because clearly I cannot get warm today. Got this open for our sauce and for me to have a glass while we get dinner ready. This is just a wine that I made in a wine kit this year and we really enjoy it for drinking and cooking. So I think I'll try to do more wine kits like this where it's a good multi-purpose wine. It's not too sweet. This ended up being plenty of meat, so we left the partridge for tomorrow's dinner and Jeff cooked up the pheasant. Now he's cooking up the white wine sauce and frying some potatoes with a ton left over. As always, I want to show you a crumb shot. This is the easiest loaf of bread you could ever make. If you've never made homemade bread, please give this recipe a try. And then dinner turned out to be so delicious. So today's Tuesday and we wanted a quick and easy dinner. We do have a little bit of leftovers. We've got some meat and sauce left over from last night's dinner. That was pheasant cooked in a white wine sauce. And then we've got lots of broccoli left. So I'm going to add this meat to this frozen cacio e pepe that I picked up at Trader Joe's because all I have to do is throw this into a pan and add the meat. And it'll be super, super easy with broccoli on the side. I did cut up some of that homemade bread that we had last night. And I pulled out a puck of garlic butter that I had prepared a while ago. And I think one little puck of garlic butter is gonna be perfect for this amount of garlic bread. And just shredding up some cheese right now to go on that bread. I think this will come together really, really quickly. My sourdough starter is looking better than the last time I showed you. I haven't even fed it since. I think I just needed to leave it sit a little bit longer so that it would rise. And then this is the liquid that I preserved the other day from that tofu. I did Google it and I guess it is good nutrients to water your plants. So I will water my plants with that at some point along with the banana peels that I kept from our banana processing. And then lastly, I want to show you, we've really increased our kombucha production. For some reason before I was only able to get 3 jars, but I think I filled my kombucha container a lot fuller this time because I got an entire growler as well. So I was able to get these bottled up today on my lunch hour and I flavored this one lemon and then I think the rest of them are mango and they seemed very carbonated when I bottled them. So I'm hoping that they will become even more carbonated as they sit because my last batch was not and I don't know what I did wrong. So crossing my fingers, this is a big batch and I hope it turns out. I love that we were able to take last night's leftovers and turn it into a completely different dinner today. This ended up looking pretty elaborate, but it was so simple and so delicious. Those 2 dinners used up all of the pheasant, but we still have 2 partridge that need to be used. So we decided to make partridge parmesan. So while Jeff is prepping the meat, I'm just throwing together a spaghetti sauce. Clearly, garlic bread is our favorite way to enjoy that crusty loaf. I've got the sauce pulled together, just need to boil some noodles, and Jeff is just frying up that partridge, and it was so delicious. We ended up having lots left over, so we enjoyed that for Thursday's dinner as well. Friday was the last official day of January, but I had previously committed to some social plans, so I did not end up cooking dinner that night. Saturday morning started off with Jeff cooking breakfast for the 2 of us. We've got some leftover potatoes from earlier this week, some farm fresh eggs, got my homemade hot sauce, and a cup of coffee. It is officially February. I did it. I made it through the whole month of January without grocery shopping, other than spending a bit of my emergency budget on some dairy products. I'm not quite ready to stop yet though. On this day, I wanted to restock our freezer with some homemade bagels. We wanted to have our dinner party on this day, but our friends ended up having a sick kid and had to cancel. We wanted to cook up that whole chicken. I wanted to bake a loaf of sourdough and use up the rest of those garden potatoes. I did have a really exciting idea for some dessert. Jeff and I have been engaged for probably 8 months now, and we have not started wedding planning. We don't even know when our wedding is going to be, but I would love to be able to bake my own wedding cake. And baking cakes is not a skill that I currently have, so I would love to start practicing. So I found a recipe that I really wanted to try for this dinner party. So I will just have to add this recipe to my list of upcoming projects that I want to tackle, and I will be sure to bring you along on the cake baking journey. For this batch of bagels, I ended up doing some plain with just an egg wash on top. I've got some cheddar bagels here that I'm going to add some jalapenos to, and some everything bagels. One idea I had on this day was, because next weekend is Super Bowl weekend, I decided to make some mini bagels because I thought homemade bagel bites would make a really delicious Super Bowl snack. So I did half regular size bagels and half mini bagels. I'm glad I got this project done when I did, because by the end of the day, I had completely run out of energy, and Jeff and I realized that we were both coming down with a cold. So it's a good thing we didn't end up hosting a dinner party on this day anyways. Just grabbed a bag of this pasta, and then we're just gonna have a can of soup for dinner. I think I've got 2 different kinds of soup here, and I don't really remember what I put in either of these. I think this is just a standard chicken and vegetable soup that I can add noodles or potatoes or rice. I think that's what we're gonna have tonight. And then I think this other one here is more like a taco soup because it's got corn and black beans. So I think that would be good with rice. And then we'll have that with what we have left for bread. I think it might be enough to make a couple of sandwiches. Of course, this is not how we expected our Saturday to go, but I'm learning that there are always going to be challenges that come up that you don't plan on, which is helping me see just how valuable it is to be well stocked on some convenience items. So when your future self faces these challenges, like getting hit with an unexpected cold or a sick kid or even a sick chicken, you don't need to order takeout or spend your physical or mental energy coming up with a meal to feed your family. This was my first time making my own canned soup. It was delicious, warm, and comforting, and exactly what we needed on this night, so I will have to make sure to always have some on my pantry shelf. One of my goals for the week was to attempt baking a loaf of sourdough. This was also one of my goals that I set out at the very beginning of Pantry Challenge. Now, the week is over and the month of January is over, but my starter is finally ready for baking, so I'm taking this opportunity to get started on a loaf of bread. This will sit and rise overnight, and I will bake this up on Sunday morning. So make sure to come back next week for Pantry Challenge Week 6 to see how I made out with my sourdough loaf. Thank you so much for watching and for following along on this journey. I encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will leave a link to my Pantry Challenge playlist so you can see how we made out in Pantry Challenge throughout the entire month of January. I will see you next time.